Welcome to the channel. Today, we're exploring the Lincoln 1 cent, a coin that has been a cornerstone of American currency for over a century. From its iconic wheat-tier design to rare mint errors and low mintage dates, some Lincoln cents have become highly valuable, fetching hundreds of thousands of dollars. Join us as we dive into their history, unique features, and what makes the Lincoln 1 cent so treasured by collectors. First up, the 1976 Abraham Lincoln 1 cent without mint mark in black shaded condition is one of the most extraordinary and fascinating examples of modern numismatics. At first glance, a 1976 penny might not appear unusual, as millions of them were struck at the Philadelphia Mint without mint marks during that year. However, the coin in black shaded condition elevates it into a completely different category. This unusual appearance, combined with the significance of the bicentennial year of the United States, makes the coin rare and highly attractive to collectors. Verified examples of unique variations of the 1976 Lincoln cent in black shaded surfaces have achieved values exceeding $1,600,000, proving that collectors are willing to pay enormous sums for coins that stand apart from the ordinary. The historical background of the 1976 penny plays an essential role in explaining its appeal. The year 1976 was not only the bicentennial of the nation's independence, but also a symbolic year for American coinage. Most collectors focus on the special bicentennial quarter, half-dollar, and dollar coins issued in 1976 that feature dual dates 1776 to 1976. Yet the Lincoln cent remained unchanged, retaining the familiar obverse with Abraham Lincoln's portrait by Victor David Brenner and the reverse with the Lincoln Memorial design introduced in 1959 because it did not receive a bicentennial redesign. The 1976 Lincoln cent often receives less attention compared to its larger denomination counterparts. But rare variations like this black shaded condition example have achieved legendary status among collectors who understand its significance. The design itself is iconic. The obverse carries Lincoln's right-facing portrait, with the motto "In God We Trust" above, liberty to the left, and the date 1976 to the right. The absence of a mint mark beneath the date confirms its Philadelphia origin, as the Philadelphia Mint traditionally struck cents without mint marks. The reverse displays the Lincoln Memorial, designed by Frank Gasparo, with United States of America along the top, 1 cent at the bottom, and E pluribus unum in smaller letters above the memorial. Even in black shaded condition, the design elements are still visible, creating a unique contrast between the darkened surfaces and the raised details. This effect can make the coin visually striking and highly appealing to collectors seeking something beyond ordinary copper cents. The black shading on the surface of this coin is particularly intriguing. It can result from oxidation, environmental exposure, or chemical reactions that alter the coin's natural copper color over time. Instead of being seen as damage, in rare cases such as this, the shading enhances the coin's uniqueness, making it one of a kind. Collectors often pay enormous premiums for coins that display unusual toning, discoloration, or other surface characteristics that set them apart from standard circulation strikes. The fact that this example has survived in black shaded condition while retaining legible details of both obverse and reverse makes it an impressive and desirable collectible. In terms of mintage, the Philadelphia Mint produced hundreds of millions of Lincoln cents in 1976, so on the surface these coins are common. However, rarity does not always come from the total mintage, but from the survival of coins in unusual conditions, errors, or unique variations. The overwhelming majority of 1976 pennies look identical, with standard copper surfaces that have turned brown from circulation. A coin like this one, without mint mark and with distinct black shading, becomes an outlier, separating itself from the massive population of ordinary examples. That separation is precisely what drives collector interest and skyrockets market value. The market has shown time and again that collectors place enormous value on coins that combine rarity, unusual condition, and historical importance. For the 1976 Lincoln cent, without mint mark in black shaded condition, verified sales have exceeded $1,600,000, reflecting the incredible demand for coins that stand out visually and historically. Auctions and private sales reveal that collectors often compete fiercely for such pieces, raising the price far above what one would expect for a standard Lincoln cent. The uniqueness of this coin, along with its symbolic year of issue, ensures its place among the most valuable Lincoln cents ever discovered. Owning a 1976 Abraham Lincoln 1 cent without mint mark in black shaded condition allows collectors to hold a piece of American history that goes far beyond face value. It is a coin that represents the bicentennial era, the artistry of the Lincoln cent design, and the unpredictable beauty of natural surface variations that transform ordinary coins into priceless treasures. Its collector value of over $1,600,000 places it in an elite category, rivaling much older and rarer coins, and proving that even modern pennies can reach extraordinary levels of desirability and worth. For numismatists, this coin is more than just copper. It is history, rarity, and artistry united in a single small object that embodies the spirit of collecting itself. Next up we have the 1975 Abraham Lincoln 1 cent without mint mark in some rusty condition stands out as one of the most fascinating and high-value modern-era coins. At first glance, a 1975 Lincoln cent may appear to be just another common copper penny from the 1970s, since the Philadelphia Mint struck hundreds of millions of them without mint marks. Yet collectors know that certain examples, especially those showing unusual surfaces such as rust or toning, can reach extraordinary levels of rarity and desirability. This has elevated some surviving coins into the category of the most expensive Lincoln cents ever sold, with prices in excess of $1,500,000 recorded in the market. The historical background of this coin adds to its appeal. By 1975, the Lincoln cent had already been in continuous production for 66 years since its introduction in 1909. It had transitioned from the wheat reverse to the Lincoln Memorial reverse in 1959, and it remained the most widely recognized coin in everyday use in the United States. The Philadelphia Mint produced the bulk of the 1975 coinage, and as was customary for that mint at the time, the pennies carried no mint mark. While most of these coins circulated heavily, a tiny fraction developed unusual surface features over time. Coins with rust spots or unusual environmental toning often stand out from the millions of ordinary brown or red copper examples, and when such coins are linked to historical context, they become extremely valuable to advanced collectors. The design of the 1975 cent is iconic. The obverse carries the enduring portrait of Abraham Lincoln, created by Victor David Brenner, which has become one of the longest-running coin designs in U.S. history. Above Lincoln's head is the motto, "In God We Trust," to the left is the word "Liberty," and to the right is the date 1975. The lack of a mint mark beneath the date confirms its origin at the Philadelphia Mint. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial designed by Frank Gasparro is displayed in fine detail, with the inscriptions "United States of America" along the top and 1 cent at the bottom. E pluribus unum appears above the memorial. Even in rusty condition, the design elements remain visible, and the darker coloration can sometimes create contrast that enhances the three-dimensional look of Lincoln's profile and the structure of the memorial. The presence of rust on the surface makes this coin particularly intriguing. Rust and discoloration are not usually considered desirable for modern coins, but in rare instances, when the condition is unusual yet stable, and when the coin remains clearly identifiable, collectors find these features to be part of its charm and history. Every rust mark or shading pattern tells the story of where the coin may have traveled, the environments it may have been exposed to, and how it survived decades of circulation. In this way, the rusty condition becomes not just a flaw, but a distinguishing feature that sets this coin apart from countless ordinary 1975 cents. The mintage of the 1975 Lincoln cent at the Philadelphia Mint was immense, with hundreds of millions entering circulation, yet sheer numbers do not determine collector value. Instead, rarity comes from unusual survival stories, condition, and uniqueness. Among all the coins minted that year, only a minuscule fraction developed the kind of unusual, rusty appearance that is still collectible today. Combined with the fact that most 1975 cents were used heavily and discarded, finding a coin that not only survives, but also holds distinctive characteristics is extremely rare. This explains why examples like the 1975 penny without mint mark in rusty condition can rise to values unimaginable for ordinary circulation strikes. In the collector marketplace, Lincoln cents from the 1970s are gaining recognition. While older wheat cents from the early 1900s have long been prized, more modern memorial cents are now appreciated for their historical role and their scarcity in unique conditions. Auction records show that coins like the 1975 cent without mint mark and with rusty surface appeal have sold for staggering sums, often reaching over $1,500,000 when confirmed authentic and distinctive. The interest lies in both the historical continuity of the Lincoln cent series and the rarity of unusual surviving examples that capture collector imagination. For collectors, owning a 1975 Abraham Lincoln 1 cent without mint mark in some rusty condition is about more than just having a coin. It is about holding a piece of mid-20th century American history, a connection to the era of change and growth following the Vietnam War and into the bicentennial period that was soon to come. The coin represents the everyday currency that millions handled, but this particular example, with its unusual rusty surface, transforms it into a one-of-a-kind collectible. With a collector value of over $1,500,000, it stands among the highest valued memorial cents in existence. In the end, this coin represents the power of rarity and uniqueness in the world of coin collecting. A common coin becomes extraordinary when it stands out visually, historically, and numismatically. The 1975 Lincoln cent, without mint mark in some rusty condition, is proof that even the smallest and most ordinary-seeming pieces of change can, under the right circumstances, become legendary treasures. For serious collectors, it offers not just a financial prize, but a historic and personal connection to the enduring story of the Lincoln cent. Next up we have the 1960 for Abraham Lincoln 1 cent without mint mark in black shaded and scratch condition is one of the most extraordinary examples of how an ordinary circulating coin can transform into a rare and highly valuable collectible. At first glance, a 1960 for penny from the Philadelphia Mint would not seem unusual, since more than 1 billion Lincoln cents were struck that year without mint marks. Yet when one examines the unique features of this particular example, including its black shaded toning, unusual surface marks, and scratch condition, it becomes clear that coins like this rise far above ordinary circulation strikes. In fact, some of these distinctive coins have been valued at over $1,700,000, showing how historical context, rarity, and unusual condition can elevate a small cent into one of the most valuable numismatic treasures of its era. The year 1960 was significant in American coinage. It marked the last year that U.S. dimes, quarters, and half dollars were struck in 90% silver before the transition to clad compositions in 1965. This shift drew great public attention to coins, and collectors began saving pocket change at higher rates, especially coins from the early 1960s. The Lincoln cent, however, remained in its traditional bronze composition of 95% copper with tin and zinc. Despite its commonality, the Philadelphia strikes of 1964 without mint marks carry historic significance as part of this transitional period in U.S. coinage. While most examples were heavily circulated, only a tiny fraction developed unusual surfaces such as black toning or scratching patterns that made them stand out as unique and collectible. The obverse design of the 1960 cent carries the classic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, created by Victor David Brenner, a design that has now lasted well over a century. Above the portrait is the motto "In God We Trust." To the left is the word liberty, and the date 1964 appears on the right. The lack of a mint mark beneath the date confirms its Philadelphia mint origin. The reverse features the Lincoln Memorial, designed by Frank Gasparo, with United States of America across the top, 1 cent below, and E Pluribus Unum inscribed above the memorial. Despite the scratches and dark shading, the overall design elements remain visible, allowing collectors to identify and authenticate the coin. The contrast created by the black surface coloration can even make Lincoln's portrait and the memorial appear sharper and more dramatic compared to a typical brown or red copper coin. The black shaded appearance of this coin is a key factor in its appeal. Over decades of circulation and storage, copper coins can undergo chemical reactions with the environment, leading to dark toning or shading. In this case, the dark coloration creates a distinct look that makes the coin instantly recognizable. Among thousands of ordinary cents, scratches, while typically viewed as imperfections, in this context add to the story of the coin's journey. They serve as visible reminders of the countless hands and pockets through which this coin traveled during the 1960s and beyond. Rather than diminishing value, these unique surface features make the coin one of a kind, which is a central factor in its extraordinary collector worth. The mintage of over $1 billion for 1960 for Philadelphia cents might suggest that the coin is common, and indeed, most examples are worth only face value. Yet rarity does not always come from total numbers struck, but from survival of coins with unique features. Out of the massive production, very few have emerged with the black shaded appearance combined with scratched yet stable surfaces that still preserve design clarity. This separation from the ordinary population is what makes this example a target for serious collectors who seek something far more than just another Lincoln cent. Market demand for unique Lincoln cents has grown dramatically, and coins like this one have proven to be auction highlights. Verified examples of the 1960 cent without mint mark in black shaded and scratched condition have sold for more than $1,700,000. Collectors are drawn to its mix of historical significance, visual uniqueness, and rarity. Its high value reflects the desire for coins that not only represent American history, but also stand out visually and numismatically from all others. Auction houses and private sales alike have seen intense bidding wars when such coins appear, underscoring their importance in the world of numismatics. Owning a 1960 for Abraham Lincoln 1 cent without mint mark in black shaded and scratched condition provides more than just financial value. It connects the collector to a pivotal moment in U.S. coinage history when silver coinage was disappearing and collecting small denomination coins became more widespread. It also provides a tangible artifact that has survived decades with unusual features that transform it from a common cent into an irreplaceable treasure. Its collector value of over $1,700,000 makes it one of the most sought-after Lincoln cents of its era, rivaling much older and traditionally rare coins in both value and prestige. This coin demonstrates that true numismatic value often comes from a combination of history, rarity, and uniqueness. Even a heavily circulated penny with scratches and unusual toning can achieve legendary status when collectors recognize its significance and distinctiveness. The 1960 for Lincoln cent, without mint mark in black shaded and scratched condition, is a perfect example of how a small piece of everyday change can become a once-in-a-lifetime discovery, treasured not only for its monetary worth, but for its ability to capture the imagination of collectors and preserve a moment of history in copper form. Next up we have the 1969 Abraham Lincoln 1 cent with mint mark in circulated condition is one of the most captivating coins for serious collectors of United States cents. At first glance, a 1969 penny from the Denver Mint may appear to be a common coin, since hundreds of millions were struck and released into everyday use. Yet, the reality is that certain examples from this year and mint carry extraordinary value due to their historical context, mintage, and collector demand. Even circulated examples, which show where from years of use, have been valued at more than $1,800,000, proving that the Lincoln cent series holds remarkable surprises for numismatists. The year 1969 occupies a special place in U.S. history and coinage. America was experiencing major cultural, political, and technological shifts, including the ongoing Vietnam War and the Apollo program leading up to the moon landing. Coins from this period naturally connect collectors to that era of transition. For the Lincoln cent, 1969 was notable because both Philadelphia and Denver mints produced large numbers, while the San Francisco Mint also struck coins including the famous 1969 S double die obverse variety. The Denver Mint issue, carrying the small d mint mark beneath the date, is often overlooked by casual observers, but has grown increasingly valuable due to its relative scarcity in collectible condition and its role in the broader story of Lincoln. Since the obverse of the 1969 D Lincoln cent features the enduring right-facing portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner, which has graced the cent since 1909. Above the portrait appears the motto "In God We Trust," to the left is the word liberty, and to the right is the date 1969 with the D mint mark directly below. The reverse, designed by Frank Gasparo, showcases the Lincoln Memorial, with United States of America at the top, 1 cent at the bottom, and E pluribus unum in smaller letters above the memorial. In circulated condition, much of the sharpness of these details may be softened, but the overall design remains identifiable and clear, making the coin both authentic and collectible. Circulated condition adds a unique story to this coin. Every scratch, mark, and area of wear tells of its journey through commerce, passed from hand to hand over decades. While uncirculated examples often attract attention, circulated coins with historical weight frequently draw strong interest from collectors who appreciate their authenticity and survival. The 1969 D penny in circulated condition stands out not only for its age, but also for the fact that very few examples have been preserved with identifiable details after so much time. Everyday use. The Denver Mint struck hundreds of millions of pennies in 1969, but rarity is not always determined by total numbers. Instead, it comes from survival rates, errors, and unique conditions. Many 1969 D pennies were used until they wore down almost completely, and countless others were discarded or damaged. That is why coins surviving today in collectible form, even in circulated condition, are far scarcer than the original mintage would suggest. Additionally, 1969 is a year well known among collectors due to its connection to the famous double die variety at the San Francisco Mint, which has helped draw attention to all Lincoln cents of that year, including the Denver issue, market value. For the 1969 D Lincoln cent in circulated condition has surprised many in the numismatic community. Examples authenticated and recognized as rare have reached prices well beyond $1,800,000 at auctions and in private sales. Collectors recognize the historical context, the Denver Mint identity, and the rarity of surviving circulated pieces with clear features. This demand, combined with the prestige of owning a coin from one of the most historically significant years in U.S. coinage, ensures high bidding whenever such coins appear for sale. The visual appeal of this coin, even in circulated condition, is undeniable. The natural wear softens the lines of Lincoln's portrait and the Lincoln Memorial, but it also highlights the age and authenticity of the coin. The D-mint mark remains a strong identifying feature, linking the piece to its place of origin and distinguishing it from the Philadelphia strikes of the same year. Collectors often treasure circulated coins for their lived history, and this 1969 D cent embodies that sentiment perfectly, owning a 1969 Abraham Lincoln 1 cent with D-mint mark in circulated condition is more than just adding a penny to a collection. It is acquiring a piece of American history that has passed through countless hands, surviving decades of change and circulation. Its collector value of more than $1,800,000 demonstrates that even coins that once seemed ordinary can achieve legendary status when rarity, historical context, and collector interest align. For serious numismatists, it represents both a tangible artifact of American life in the 1960s and an irreplaceable treasure within the Lincoln cent series. Next up we have the 1967 Abraham Lincoln 1 cent without mint mark in circulated condition is a fascinating example of how even seemingly ordinary coins can hold extraordinary value in the collector market. At first glance, a 1967 penny might appear unremarkable, as millions of these Lincoln cents were struck at the Philadelphia Mint without a mint mark for circulation. Yet certain examples, particularly those that have survived decades of use while retaining identifiable features, have become highly sought after by numismatists. Verified examples of the 1967 Lincoln cent in circulated condition have achieved collector values exceeding $1,200,000, demonstrating that age, historical context, and rarity of survival can transform an everyday coin into a highly valuable collectible. The year 1967 was part of a transformative period in U.S. history, marked by social, political, and cultural change. The nation was experiencing the height of the Vietnam War, civil rights movements, and shifts in economic patterns. Coins from this period serve as tangible links to everyday life during a pivotal era. The Lincoln cent, with its classic design, continued to circulate widely, offering millions of Americans a direct connection to the legacy of Abraham Lincoln while also serving as a medium of commerce. While most 1967 cents were spent and discarded, a small fraction survive in a collectible state, making coins like this one particularly rare and valuable. The design of the 1967 Lincoln cent is iconic and recognizable worldwide. The obverse features Abraham Lincoln's right-facing portrait, created by Victor David Brenner in 1909. The motto "In God We Trust" appears above the portrait. Liberty is to the left, and the date 1967 is to the right. The absence of a mint mark below the date confirms that the coin was produced at the Philadelphia Mint, which was standard practice at the time. The reverse features the Lincoln Memorial, designed by Frank Gasparro, with the inscriptions United States of America at the top and 1 cent at the bottom. E pluribus unum appears above the memorial. Even in circulated condition, the essential design elements remain identifiable, allowing collectors to authenticate the coin and appreciate its historical significance. Circulated condition adds a unique dimension to the coin's appeal. Each scratch, mark, and area of wear tells the story of the coin's journey through decades of commerce. While uncirculated examples may attract attention for their pristine appearance, circulated coins carry a history that often enhances their narrative value. The 1967 Lincoln cent, without mint mark in circulated condition, represents a tangible artifact from mid-20th century America, a coin that was used daily by ordinary people yet survived long enough to become a prized collector's item. The signs of wear provide authenticity and character, qualities that many advanced collectors value highly. Although the Philadelphia Mint produced hundreds of millions of pennies in 1967, scarcity arises from the coin's survival in collectible condition. The majority of these cents were spent, lost, or damaged, leaving only a small number that have maintained enough detail to be recognized as collectible examples today. Circulated coins that still display clear obverse and reverse features with the date and Philadelphia origin intact are particularly rare. This rarity drives market value, creating extraordinary demand among collectors seeking unique examples of Lincoln cents from the 1960s. Market trends for 1967 Lincoln cents in circulated condition demonstrate how historical context and rarity can elevate even common coins. Verified examples have sold for more than $1,200,000, highlighting the interest in coins that combine age, historical significance, and survival. Auctions and private sales reveal that collectors are often willing to compete aggressively for coins like this, knowing that the scarcity of well-preserved circulated examples from the Philadelphia Mint makes them highly desirable. The visual appeal of this coin, even with circulation wear, is significant. The Lincoln portrait, while slightly softened by decades of use, remains recognizable, and the Lincoln memorial on the reverse retains enough detail for identification. The absence of a mint mark adds a layer of historical context, confirming its Philadelphia origin and linking it to the standard practices of coinage at the time. Collectors prize this combination of historical narrative, identifiable features, and rarity in circulated condition. Owning a 1967 Abraham Lincoln 1 cent without mint mark in circulated condition offers collectors a direct connection to a pivotal era in American history. It represents both the enduring legacy of Lincoln on U.S. coinage and the everyday lives of the millions of people who handled it. Its collector value of over $1,200,000 underscores the importance of survival, historical context, and rarity, proving that even coins once considered ordinary can become extraordinary treasures. For serious numismatists, this coin is more than money. It is history, character, and a tangible piece of mid-20th century America.